So I want to talk to you a little bit about trickery in Raku. This is my lamb that I make, right? And it has a black face normally, white eyes, and white body. This is our standard normal. The first one we ever made was this color, this colorway. But I don't glaze this black, and I don't actually glaze this white. This is a clear glaze. Glaze white. So it's a clear glaze over white. So when I put a clear glaze on the eyeballs, they're going to look white. But wherever there isn't glaze is going to be carbonized in the kiln. So it's going to be black. But that's how I get the black face on these things, is I just don't glaze it. I'm pretty careful not to glaze it. If there's so much as a single smudge of glaze, it's not going to be black. I was experimenting with a white on white look. And so I developed a white glaze. So I actually have one, but it wouldn't make any difference here. It's just more expensive too, because I have to add more chemicals. It's this glaze with a bunch more chemicals added. The second and third coat I don't do down the edges, because if I do down the edges, then the glaze will run and stick. These are the things you learn after you make several thousand and have several hundred stick. You know, I've said it once, I'll say it again. You don't have to be too bright to be a potter, but you do have to be able to learn, that's for sure. Okay, so that's trickery number one. Trickery number two. I have a silhouette vinyl cutter, paper cutter. I use a Silhouette because I got it on sale. There are other brands out there, but Silhouette allows you to develop your own JPEG, and then you can, you know, manipulate it. So I went online and I found a mountain sheep, not a mountain goat, but a mountain sheep, horn, set of horns. And I then reduced it and tried it on to make sure it was the right size, and that's what I ended up with. Half of our sheep are facing one direction and half are facing the other. So of course then I had to make half the ram horns facing one way and the other half facing the other. So you have to rub them down pretty tight. If you do not rub them down pretty tight, you're going to have glaze work itself back underneath, and then you're not going to get a crisp line. Now you think about it, anytime you want to use you know, that Raku trickery and, you know, white face, black silhouettes on a white pot, something like that. You want to put birds, tree limbs on a white pot. You just cut them out of vinyl. It goes on. There is a trick though, that when I glaze this, I'm going to put the first coat on, not a problem. Second coat, not a problem. Third coat, I have to watch it. Once it's almost dry, not bone dry, but almost dry, it's still going to be wet on top of the vinyl. There'll be some glazed beads and like that on top of the vinyl. And I want to pull it off early, and I'm going to show you all that, but I'm just telling you ahead of time that if you don't do that, you're going to end up with a jagged edge. It's going to pop the glaze off, and when it pops the glaze off, then you got to either go back and touch it up or carve it back or something. It's really a pain in the rear end. It's really not good. So timing is just about everything on this part of it. So I'm not doing anything else in the studio. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing right now. So the first coat and the second coat are pretty normal, and they go on really quite quickly. So there's one coat, one lamb. Okay, so here goes coat number 2. Okay, you can see now, see how it's still, you can tell that it's wet on top of the actual horn, but the rest of it is almost dry. You can see the darker parts and the lighter parts. That's because the lighter part is drier, right? But the horn is still shiny. It's covered with glaze still. And the glaze can't dry. Well, it could, I mean, by tomorrow, but we don't want it to do that. We want it to stay moist. So right now, I'm gonna kill a little bit of time. We're going to start glazing the last layer. And the last layer is like ready now. And if you think you have, or there's a possibility you have, that's actually why Levi made the first Levi's. Levi's, you know, a lot of people will tell you that Levi started the company during the gold rush so that miners could get a good value. Not true. He made it for potters so that potters could wipe their glazed fingers on their clothes. I'm sure that's the truth. If I put it on Facebook, it will be the truth. Right? I'm going to tell you a true story as I finish this. My family, part of my family, on my mom's side, named McCarty. McCarty is just a different spelling of McCarthy. Very Irish, Cork area. Blarney Castle was actually the ancestral home of McCarthy. So my aunt always used to say that that was her ancestral home. Okay, whatever. But I've been to Blarney Castle, and I've been to the top where the Blarney stone resides, right? And my dad kissed that stone, my mom kissed the stone, and my brother kissed the stone, and as I'm getting ready to bend backwards, my mom said, "No, you can't kiss it." You see, my mom thought that, and I've never found documentation on this, so mom might be wrong. But my mom thought that if you had the gift of gab and you kissed the Blarney stone, you're going to lose it. You know, the old thing that if you kiss the Blarney stone, you're given the gift of gab. So as I'm getting ready to kiss that thing, she said, "No, you can't kiss it." She said, "You're full of it already." That was my mom, in front of this long line of people. She said I was full of it. How could that possibly be? Mom! Mom! Might be true. Okay, they're getting ready. I'm gonna get a tool. Pin tool. Right? I don't like wooden ones because the points come out. I've had this one for 35 years, something like that. So I just take the pin tool, stick it underneath the exposed piece of the vinyl, lift it off. There you go. Nice, crisp line. So all of that, because it's exposed clay, is going to be black. There's another one. It's pretty easy to do. Of course, I've done a lot of them. But this is the condition. You'll see that the glaze is pretty dry, but not completely dry. If you are paying attention, you want to keep your tip clean when you do this. And every so often, you'll get a little bit of dry glaze. Will pop off a tool or whatever and land in your clean area for your resist. So you'll see me give it a little puff. And then I'm cleaning this. Okay, so you'll see this as I'm picking up the next one. Clean my thumb, clean the tool, pick it up, pull it off, put it down, clean my thumb, clean the tool, put it down, clean my thumb, clean the tool. So that's what it looks like. Now that little dark mark on there, that's just a bump of glaze. It's gonna come off. But that's what it's done when it's ready to put the eyes on. So the eyes are the next part of the process. But that's it. the vinyl. Pretty clever, huh? How did we come up with rams in the first place? That's another story. Talk to you later. But I use a Silhouette cutter, but you can use, Cricut, which is the other major brand. Doesn't really matter, but I did choose Silhouette because one, it was on sale, and I'm that cheap.